And we see organizations here in the United States that are spending millions of dollars, however they fail to properly frame the arguments, and in many cases are choked by political correctness. And therefore, we are here to preserve and defend the truth. And you know, Ken, speaking the truth is a lost art. Integrity is a precious and a rare asset. And people who speak the truth will never be popular.
I mean, how do you feel about the way Israel is represented in the media, mainstream media and online?
Well, the information they're getting from the mainstream media is something totally different that's happening on ground. Mm-hmm. It's a total different picture, and it's not only because the media's out to get Israel. It's sometimes a lack of education, a lack of knowledge in history. And today's youth here in the United States, when they go in their car, they wouldn't turn on a talk show radio. They would turn on the FM radio. Some media outlets are biased against Israel. If it's a CNN, if it's the BBC, if it's online sites as the Huffington Post, as the Guardian, as the New York Times. I mean, Thomas Friedman is a Jew, but he doesn't represent Israel in the positive light we would expect. So the media is biased against Israel, and I think it's more because lack of knowledge, of history.
Do you think you can make a difference with what you're doing on the internet?
The new media, as I call the social media, is a very significant and effective tool in reaching out to that people, because these people are present online. If I would, let's say, go to a campus, I'm sure that not even 5% of these people will show up to such an event, but they are present online. I mean, my tweets and my radio show is followed by people in the whole world. It's listened even in Australia, in Japan, and New Zealand. And if I would stand here with a megaphone in the Washington, D.C. mall, these people in Australia would never have heard of me.
Are you offering up a perspective that is unique, in your opinion?
Well, it's unique because, as I said before, it's the truth. And I'm not making up anything. I'm not spinning or distorting the facts.
They could argue that you have a certain biased point of view and that you're not being necessarily entirely objective. I'm sure you've run into that.
Well, first of all, let me tell you this, that I'm not a rubber stamp for Israel. I'm not a rubber stamp for the Israeli Prime Minister, although I have some connections to him. I'm dedicated to the rigorous pursuit of intellectual honesty. We provide hard-hitting analysis on Israeli politics, breaking developments in the Knesset, as an example, U.S.-Israel foreign policy, counterterrorism, radical Islam, the Muslim Brotherhood, Sharia law, persecution of Jews and Christians in Islamic countries, and other issues of relevance to the Christian and the Jewish communities.
Are you still optimistic? Is it a cautious optimism? Are you pessimistic?
If you're talking about optimistic regarding Israel, Israel is not only about settlements, about peace. It's about innovations. We're seeing the high-tech developments, the economic success, the prosperous society, a stable government. This is an open society that has a Muslim judge in its Supreme Court, has the only female Muslim judge in the world.
A lot of the Jews who've done pretty well in this country are sleepwalking when it comes to Israel. There's a complacency about Israel right now that has to be changed, that has to turn into, as you say, advocacy.
Wars were once determined by F-16s and F-35s. Today, it's determined by online media, if it's Facebook or Twitter
Sure.
or YouTube clips. And therefore, we have a personal dedication to engage in these wars, in fighting back the hate, the delegitimization, the anti-Semitism that's going on in today's world, by presenting the truth, by providing the information. Yes, we got to win this battle of minds. It's as important as to defeat the enemy on the battlefield.
So we have to win the information war, not just the war on the ground.
Yeah, it's not only walk the walk, but talk the talk.
So you work in a glatt kosher delicatessen, is that correct? A restaurant?
That's a kosher supermarket, and I'm
kosher
the
supermarket.
chef of
And
that takeout.
Well, you're working, you're tweeting, you're talking.
Well, in today's activity, all you need is a BlackBerry or a laptop. If it's via Twitter, Facebook, BlackBerry Messenger, or text messages, it's the easiest part of today's journalism, and it's a tool that reaches, as we have said, a bigger audience than the 1 million viewers of Elliot Spitzer on CNN. Well, Jeff and Ken, it was an honor for me to be interviewed and share my thoughts on the current events, as I'm usually the host and the ranter, the monologue ranter, and not the one that provides the behind-the-scene thoughts.
We'll close on that, and I'll look forward to listening to you on Monday.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Good evening from New York.
Good evening from Los Angeles.
The name Israeli Star is unique because when you look up into a dark sky and you're looking for some light, all you see is a star shining. And in a world of hate, of bloodshed, you look up to the sky and you see that shining star, the only democracy and free country in the Middle East that defeats the enemies of its own, but the enemies of the United States and of the Western civilization. It fights the war of freedom every day and night for us, for all of us, and therefore we have to get off the fence, as you say, stand up for Israel and fight for freedom to prevail.
And so we shall. Shalom, and I'll be listening in on Monday.
Same here.
Okay.